Did you know that there are some flowers that only grow and blossom at night? Hi, this is Tim Alston, and welcome to the 10 Commandments for Leadership. Flowers such as moonflowers, night-blooming jasmines, evening primroses, 4 o'clocks, and queens of the night have all one characteristic in common. They are known as nocturnal bloomers because they are flowers that bloom only in the nighttime. Only in the nighttime. According to Wikipedia, these nocturnal blooms typically have white or pale petals that are easier for nocturnal moths and other insects to see in the dark. They also release a strong fragrance at night to guide these pollinators to their flowers for pollination. In so many words, their greatest fragrance comes out in the dark. Did you know that you and I are just like these nocturnal bloomers? Our greatest fragrance comes as a result of our responses to our darkest nights. Had you ever considered that as an emerging leader and as a recovering egoholic, your and my greatest fragrances, our greatest fragrances, are produced in some of our darkest nights of financial famines and emotional and relational droughts. It is in those times when we are reduced to our lowest points and feel ready to throw in the towel that God is actually performing his best work in us and for us. For me, these were the moments when I nearly gave up. But God kept me in the hollow, in the small of his hand. I was protected, I was preserved, but I was not pampered, not in the least bit. I once had a friend tell me that just when as a Christian you are down to nothing, please know that our God is up to something. Just when as a Christian you are down to nothing, please know that our God is up to something. It is in those darkest hours that we are at our weakest. And once we acknowledge that we're in our weakness, then God will respond by attaching us to his greatest strength. And his greatest strength is his love for us. These times are called our years in the wilderness, purely and simply. The wilderness is that rite of passage that, according to leadership expert Dr. John C. Maxwell, it is in the wilderness that all moral leaders must go through. He continues that in the wilderness that 3 things happen. Our calling is clarified, our motives are purified, and our backbone is solidified. Wow. Our calling is clarified, our motives are purified, and our backbone is solidified. For example, for speaking truth to power, Elijah in the Bible was exiled. I too was similarly blackballed and exiled in my career. Yet, God sent ravens to feed me just like he fed Elijah at the brook Cherith, just enough to sustain my faith and my hope. Hear me now. The real miracle isn't only visible, the visible breakthrough, but it's in the unseen labor of God during the night. All that night, he was working on paths that I could not see. For example, in Exodus chapter 14, verse 21, it says, all that night the Lord drove the sea back. What is it talking about? The children of Israel, in escaping from Egyptian captivity, didn't see the miracle when they woke up the next morning. It had already been unfolding in the darkness. In the year 2002, my younger brother sent me an email with a calculation from the Quartermaster General of the U.S. Army. If you're unfamiliar with the military, the quartermaster general is the person responsible for providing clothing and subsistence for more than 1 million active duty Army troops. He or she put together a report and it said, according to Exodus 14, verse 20, the verse before I just read, the children of Israel had to cross the Red Sea in one night, according to the Bible. Now, if they were on a narrow path, double filed, these were 2 to 3 million children of Israel, the line would have been 800 miles long and would have required 35 days and nights to get through. So there had to be a space, for them to be in accordance with the Bible in one night, in that darkest time. There had to be a space in the Red Sea 3 miles wide so they could walk 5,000 abreast to get through in one night. So here's my question. Was Moses, who was the leader of the children of Israel, was he responsible for figuring all of that out? No. Why? Because God never requires us to answer the question, how? That's his job. You and I are simply tasked with moving out on faith, a faith that will mostly unfold and blossom in the darkest hours of the darkest nights, just like for Moses and the children of Israel crossing the Red Sea at night, in one night. Got it? And that's according to Exodus 14, verse 20. Those wilderness decades were hard and non-negotiable for me, but they did ultimately end. Now, having crossed my Jordan River, having crossed my Red Sea, I see those dark years as my own 12-stone pillar, reminders not to worship the stones of the past, but to celebrate the God who brought me through my Red Sea, through my wilderness, through my darkest hours. So in closing, my question to you is, are you in your night right now? If so, then trust him. He's working all that out, even when we can't see it. May we never forget the wilderness, but may we also never fail to build those altars of remembrance for the God who works all night long. All of us have our wilderness. All of us have those dark nights. The question is not the dark nights. As Charles Swindoll tells us, life is 10% of what happens to us. Those are the dark nights. They're fixed, they're non-negotiable, they're inevitable. But the question becomes, as he says, it's 10% of what happens, but it's 90% of how we choose to respond. When we come upon those darknesses, when we come upon those dark nights, when we come upon those wildernesses, don't try to run away from them. They have been customized, tailor-made, and even monogrammed by God with your and my names on it to bring us through, to teach us, because, as I read recently, the path to the prize is almost always greater than the prize itself. Let me say that again. The pathway to the prize is always greater than the prize itself. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. These have been the 10 Commandments of Leadership. I'm your host, Tim Alston. I'm a leadership strategist. I'm a 4-time Amazon best-selling author, and I am the world's first publicly acknowledged recovering egoholic. The 10 Commandments of Leadership comes on every day, every weekday, 5 days a week, 4 p.m. Central Time, available on LinkedIn, YouTube, and on Facebook. And we have 2 main objectives: to educate, equip, and empower the emerging leaders with God thought leadership, as well as to present current events and newsmakers in the light of the best practices from the Bible. If I've informed you, if you've been inspired, if you've been encouraged, then please like, share, and subscribe. and I'll see you tomorrow on the